at the wrong time. Then you caught me on that one night. Girl, I wanna know how this thing get out of my control. Zip line into your timeline. Hey, my body's alright. I didn't care for the light.
तो जनाब कुछ साइंस को फॉलो करते करते हम कहीं निकल आए हैं. अब हम खुले आसमान के नीचे हैं बट कहीं और आ गए हैं हम. ये हमारा लंच है. ये मेरा चिकन सैलेड है और ये उसामा का मिक्स शर्मा है.
Passing them by, make sure they know that you taking love in your vibe. Let's be forever tonight, and I will let you make up your mind, but I can't wait. Where you coming over? Let me be your chauffeur, baby.
Assalamu alaikum everyone.
Assalamu alaikum everyone.
And welcome to day 2 of our Toronto trip. Actually day 3, counting the day of flight as well. लेकिन outing का हमारा second day है और अभी हम जा रहे हैं
Casa Loma.
Casa Loma.
I hope मैं नाम सही ले रहा हूँ.
Yes. जब तक हमें कोई correct नहीं करता हम यही कहेंगे. So let's go. So guys हम पहुँच आए हैं Casa Loma. ये देखिए. Let's just go out and discover. So guys, this is the famous Casa Loma. Casa Loma is actually a famous mansion and landmark in midtown Toronto, famous for its gothic style and its history. The mansion belonged to famous Sir Henry Pellatt and construction ran between 1911 and 1914. The mansion spreads over 25 lots of land, that is 64,700 square feet. It has total of 7 floors and that contain 98 rooms. The house cost about $3.5 million and took 299 workers 3 years to build this mansion. The notable amenities included in this mansion are an elevator, an oven large enough to cook an ox, 2 vertical passages for pipe organs, a central vacuum, 2 secret passages in Pellatt's ground floor office, a pool, and 3 bowling alleys in the basement. So let's go inside and explore this mansion. Multiple significant things from the life of Sir Henry Pellatt are displayed all over Casa Loma. And the whole 3rd floor is used as the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada Regimental Museum. We are currently in the main hall where all the gatherings and parties were conducted. Henry Pellatt loved to hold huge gatherings and lavish parties. Let's know Henry Pellatt a little bit. So Sir Henry Pellatt was born to his British parents in Kingston, Ontario on January 6, 1959. He was an ambitious man who at the age of 20 ran the mile in New York and set a world record in 1879. Sir Henry Pellatt left his studies at Upper Canada College when he was 17 to pursue a career in commerce in the family business. By the age of 23, he became a full partner in his father's stock brokerage firm, Pellatt and Pellatt. That year was also marked by his marriage to Mary Dodson, whom he met when he was 20. The vision of Casa Loma, House on the Hill, developed from his love for fine arts and architecture. The mansion that is now in the middle of Toronto was initially built far, far away from population in the middle of mountains. In addition to hosting grand social events, The Pellatts were involved in a number of philanthropic projects. Sir Henry Pellatt was a trustee and benefactor of Trinity College and a strong supporter of Grace Hospital. The organization of the St. John's Ambulance Brigade in Canada is due largely to his efforts. Lady Pellatt, in spite of her frail health, played an active role in the promotion of Girl Guides in Canada. She was appointed the first commissioner of the Girls Guide of Canada, and in 1919, she was honored with the Girl Guide's highest award, the Silver Fish Award. Pellatt enlisted as a rifleman with the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada on November 2, 1876. He rose through the ranks and eventually became the commanding officer. In 1905, he was created a Knight Bachelor by King Edward VII for his service with the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada. In 1910, Pellatt took the entire 600-man regiment, including its horses, to England for military training at his expense, to mark the regiment's 50th anniversary. Later, he served as the regiment's honorary colonel and was promoted to the rank of Major General upon his retirement. He was made a commander of the Royal Victorian Order, CVO, in 1910. From 1911 to 1923, he was the Knight Principal of the Imperial Society of Knights Bachelor. Much of Pellatt's fortune was made through investments in the railway and hydroelectric industries in Canada, including the Toronto Electric Light Company. He also made significant investment in the Cobalt Lake Mining Company during the Cobalt Silver Rush of 1903. Later, in around 1915, using riches from his Cobalt Lake Mining Company, he invested in the fledgling McIntyre mines in Timmins, Ontario. However, legislator Adam Beck launched a campaign against the great industrialists of Canada, proclaiming that hydropower should be as free as air and one. Due to this, Sir Henry Pellatt's financial position started to degrade. The construction of Casa Loma delayed due to World War I, and the budget went over the expected amount. Multiple parts of Casa Loma were still incomplete. During the depression that followed the war, the city of Toronto increased Casa Loma's property taxes from $600 per year to $1,000 a month. And Pellatt, already experiencing financial difficulties, auctioned off $1.5 million in art and $250,000 in furnishings. Pellatt was able to enjoy life in the castle for less than 10 years, leaving in 1923. Though he lost a great fortune, Sir Henry Pellatt never lost his spirit of philanthropy, a great character trait for which he was honored later in life. His service of 50 years with the Queen's Own Rifles was celebrated on June 27, 1926, with a march past 500 men, complete with the circling overhead of 3 military planes. When Sir Henry Pellatt died on March 8, 1939, thousands lined Toronto streets to witness his funeral procession. He was buried with full military honors befitting a soldier who had given so much to his country. In the late 1920s, investors operated Casa Loma for a short time as a luxury hotel. During Prohibition, it became a popular night spot for wealthy Americans. The city seized Casa Loma in 1924 for unpaid taxes, and for years, the building was left vacant. In the 1930s, CFRB broadcaster Claire Wallace spent a night at Casa Loma to gather material for a story about ghosts and supernatural phenomena, and she later broadcast an appeal to save the old building from demolition. Her broadcast was heard by the vice president of local Kiwanis Club, and subsequently Casa Loma was leased in 1937 by Kiwanis Club of West Toronto. Later, the Kiwanis Club of Casa Loma, KCCL. They began operating the castle under a sole source contract as a tourist destination. KCCL managed Casa Loma for 74 years until 2011. From 1997 until 2012, the castle underwent a 15-year, $33 million exterior restoration largely funded by the city. Currently, Casa Loma is solely owned by the City of Toronto. Some of the original furniture and furnishings that were sold in the auction were bought back from the public and are currently displayed in Casa Loma. Overall, Casa Loma shows the dream of a man who put his all into building and decorating it. The building gives off a lonely and gloomy vibe, in my opinion. While walking through the corridors and rooms, one wonders how life would have been for the inhabitants. The saddest part of the story is that Sir Henry Pellatt could never enjoy his dream house the way he wanted. From the point this castle was built, his life became miserable. A man who was the king of this huge mansion, who spent his life serving his country in all ways possible, who led a successful life and played in money, died virtually penniless. So guys, this is the statue of Sir Henry Pellatt, and it looks so real that I'm afraid to go near it. लाइक बहुत ज़्यादा रियल लग रहा है, ऐसे लग रहा है कि आप इसके करीब जाएंगे तो ये आपको कहीं पकड़ ना ले। आई एम रियली स्केर्ड ऑफ इट। हम कासा लोमा में वहाँ से एंटर हुए थे उस बिल्डिंग से, एंड जब हम बाहर निकले हैं तो हम यहाँ से निकले हैं, वो वहाँ से उधर दूर से। हम एक्चुअली अंडरग्राउंड टनल में से गुजर के आए हैं, तो इसलिए वो अंदर से कनेक्टेड था और हम यहाँ से बाहर निकले। सो बड़ा फनी सीन हुआ है। सो गाइस वी आर फाइनली बैक इन द कार, और काफ़ी बड़ी जगह थी, ऑलमोस्ट हमें 2.5 घंटे लग चुके हैं यहाँ पर अंदर घूमते फिरते। वो भी एंड पे हमने जो है ना वो सिर्फ मतलब गुजारी है चीज़ें। शुरू में मैंने बहुत सुकून से तसल्ली से हर चीज़ देखी है, बट फिर बहुत टाइम लग रहा था तो हमने फिर आगे जल्दी किया है। सो लेकिन जगह अंदर से अच्छी है। स्टोरी काफ़ी सैड है इसकी, मैं शेयर करूँगी थोड़ी थोड़ी करके आहिस्ता आहिस्ता आपके साथ। सो अभी हम चलते हैं कहीं खाना खाने, अब बहुत भूख लग रही है।